Please be seated. In today's gospel, Jesus was not referring to the temple when he was speaking of raising it up in 3 days. He was speaking about himself, his resurrection. The people in the temple that day didn't understand that. The disciples of Jesus didn't understand that. Those coming to celebrate Passover didn't understand that. He was talking about his resurrection, and they were thinking about their own lives, their day-to-day business, making money and making a living. It was business as usual that day when Jesus showed up at the temple. There were animals being bought and sold, money being changed. There was lots of traffic, there was lots of noise, lots of stuff going on. Everybody had their usual place and their usual job to do. It was Passover. They were busy. This is one of those Bible stories that contains lots of details and many distractions, way too many distractions that need to be prioritized. Reading this gospel always reminds me of my college days. In one of my art history classes, when we were studying El Greco's Christ driving the money changers out of the temple. There are many works of art that portray this gospel story, but in El Greco's version, every single inch of the painting is covered with some sort of activity. There are scenes of total chaos. There are scenes that seem to look quite tranquil. With Jesus in motion, people are fleeing, animals are scattering, birds are flying, and there are coins everywhere. I couldn't imagine anyone in that crowd depicted in that painting being able to make sense out of what was happening. And we need to think beyond what we have learned about this story in the past. We need to set aside some of what we have been told so we can hear this story again. We need to experience this story in a new light. Jesus went to the temple that day for the purpose of making big changes. I don't think he went there to purify the temple like some folks say. He went there not only to overturn the tables, but he also went there to overturn the lives of those who witnessed his actions. From time to time, we all need our routines interrupted and our tables overturned. This story is not about Jesus getting angry. It's about the opportunity for us to welcome and embrace something new, something for our own good. It gives us the opportunity to disregard what we have been told or have done in the past. We need to give up what doesn't work for us that we've done in the past. Jesus grew up in a faithful Jewish family. He had been to temple many times. He knew what happened there on a regular basis. He was familiar with everyday functions of the temple. He knew about the selling of animals for the sacrifice. He knew about the money changers. He knew that they were there because people traveling a long distance needed to have local currency to purchase what they needed for their sacrifice. I'm sure many of the pilgrims were taken advantage of. After all, the sellers and the money changers were there to make a profit. The behavior of those selling the animals and the money changers was just a symptom of a misfunctional society. All of it was happening in the temple that day. What was happening in the temple every day was not the problem Jesus was addressing. It was what was happening in their hearts and their minds that Jesus was drawing attention to. He was not surprised at the commercial activities going on in the temple. But how could they accept and share the love of God when all they could think about was their business, making money? We all know that time and time again, Jesus said, "Give it all away and follow me. Don't store up riches on earth. Save that for heaven." We need to remember that we are the temple of God. We need to remember that all creation is where God resides. No matter where we go, no matter which direction we turn, we will be looking at the face of God. We all, from time to time, follow into a routine or business as usual state of mind. We forget that God is in control, but God's always here with us. So many times our lives become a place to make a living rather than a place to live our lives in the presence of God. Jesus was not worried about the marketplace atmosphere in the temple. He was making the point that what they were doing was interfering with their opportunity to commune with God. How could they share the peace, love, and joy of God when they were busy tending to the sale of animals or changing money? Jesus will continue to overturn tables today. There are many people in our world waiting for the tables to be overturned. Women are still fighting for equal rights. African Americans are still fighting for equal rights. Native Americans are still fighting for what's rightfully theirs and their equal rights. The LGBTQ community is still fighting for equal rights, and they're all fighting for life itself. This list could go on, but we know that Jesus is still with us, overturning the tables. This past Wednesday was the feast day of Anna Julia Hayward Cooper, one who was well known for overturning tables. She was born in 1858 to an enslaved woman and her white owner. Cooper became an author, a scholar, a black activist, and the fourth black woman in the United States to earn a doctoral degree. Cooper felt that education was vital to empowerment, and she tirelessly fought for equal access to education for all people. She believed that true equality and justice could only be achieved through a moral and spiritual awakening. She saw the gospel of Jesus Christ as a powerful source for this social change. She believed the Gospels provided a framework for treating all people with dignity and respect. She was a true advocate for overturning tables. Try to think of someone you know that is trying to help Jesus overturn tables today. My hope for you is to have the opportunity to help overturn a table or two in your lifetime. So please, share the love of Christ, and may God always be present in your heart. Be ready to help overturn a table. Amen.